early Putnam County, Tennessee.
The hills of Putnam County, Tennessee were not easily conquered. Roads did not appear here. They were carved by cutting up and down steep hillsides by hand, by mule, by sweat. Every path through these ridges was earned. Stone was quarried from the earth with hammer and wedge. Rock split from the mountain to build foundations, chimneys, and roadbeds. Timber was king. Massive logs were felled, dragged by teams down dirt roads, hauled through mud and ruts toward distant mills. The land gave, but only after a fight. From those logs, families built cabins. They raised children in isolation, miles from neighbors, bound together by kinship and reputation. In these hills, a man's name traveled faster than he did. Even the general store, the center of community life, was a place where news was traded, debts remembered, and reputations quietly weighed. Some names were spoken with respect, others with caution. By the mid-1870s, two young men from this wild and rugged district were already regarded by many as desperados. They were not outsiders. They were sons of these hills. Introducing Joseph Louis Brassel and his brother, George Andrew Brassel, known to everyone as Teek. Before long, their names would be tied to one of the most infamous crimes in Tennessee history.
Victims and villains.
At the center of the Allison household stood Angelina Allison Isbell, co-proprietor of the Allison Stand, widow of Joseph Stewart Allison, known locally as Hog Joe, and stepmother to the Allison boys. After Hog Joe's death, she married James Livingston Isbell, who became the new co-proprietor of the Allison Stand. Together, they maintained the inn along the Nashville Road, a well-known stopping place in Putnam County. Living in the home was her stepson, Russell Allison. On the night of November 29, 1875, Russell Allison was murdered at the Allison Stand. He was 18 years old. Also inside the house that night was Russell's younger brother, Joseph Allison. He was asleep in the dining room when the gunshots rang out. Awakened by the violence, he witnessed the aftermath, but he was unharmed. Upstairs, Archibald Bryant slept near Russell. When the attack began, Bryant climbed out the upstairs window and clung to the ledge until the intruders fled. He too survived. Another witness to the crime was the housekeeper, Amanda Pippin. She was present in the home during the shooting and later testified to what she heard and saw. The intended target of the robbery was believed to be William Jefferson Isbell, tax collector for Putnam County and stepson of Angelina Isbell. It was rumored he carried large sums of money while traveling. He was not at the inn that night. The men responsible for the attack were 23-year-old Joseph Louis Brassel and his brother, 21-year-old George Andrew Brassel, known as Teek. Their accomplices were Dobson Johnson and William Dol Bates. The suspected ringleader, James Reuben Brassel, did not attend the murder. But the crime, once committed, would tie all of their names together in the history of Putnam County.
The Brassel brothers and the conspiracy.
The Brassel family had moved to Tennessee from Barron County, Kentucky. By the 1870s, they lived in the 7th Civil District of Putnam County, near what is now Baxter. Their reputation in the community was poor. Newspaper accounts later described them as feared and violent. Illegal distilling was their primary source of income.
Joe, we gotta set up the still.
I know, Teek. Let's do it.
James Reuben Brassel, called Jim, was widely believed to be the architect of the robbery plan, but it was his younger brothers who would carry it out. Joseph Louis Brassel, known as Joe, was tall and physically imposing. He made his living distilling illegal whiskey and later claimed he could earn $25 a week from his stills. George Andrew Brassell, called Teek, was younger, volatile, and boastful. He had already been indicted for shooting another man before the Allison murders, though the charges were later dropped. On the morning of November 29, 1875, Dobson Johnson and William Bell, a.k.a. Dol Bates, traveled from DeKalb County to purchase whiskey from the Brassells. That evening, after hours of drinking, talk turned to money. Jim Brassell proposed robbing the Allison household. He claimed that $4,000 was hidden there, $600 of it in an old clock, and that William Jefferson Isbell, the county tax collector, would be spending the night. Johnson later testified that he pleaded for the plan to be delayed. Bates insisted that if it were to be done, it must be done that night. The plan was finalized. No one, they agreed, was supposed to be hurt. Jim backed out at the last moment. The others went on without him, disguising themselves with blackening on their faces and turning their coats inside out. As they approached the Allison home, Joe and Teek waved their pistols and shouted, "We are bullies."
The shooting of Russell Allison.
On the porch of the Allison stand stood Joe, Teek, Johnson, and Bates. Teek, pretending to be a railroad man, awakened Angelina Isbell and her housekeeper Amanda Pippin, who were asleep in the same bed just inside the door.
Who is it?
It's Mansfield Howell, by God, and my men need supper.
Angelina knew Mansfield Howell's voice and knew it wasn't him. Russell Allison, recognizing Teek's voice, came down from an upstairs room and opened the door. When Russ opened the door, the plan collapsed into violence as Russell recognized Joe and Teek immediately. Teek rushed forward, grabbing Russell, who attempted to free himself as the two struggled. A pistol discharged into the ceiling. Russ broke free and ran toward the dining room. Teek fired again. Joe pointed his pistol at the bed and fired. The shot missed and lodged in the bedding. As the intruders fled, Russ staggered back inside. The bullet struck Russ in the hip and exited
Angie,
near his abdomen.
I'm shot, and Teek and Joe Brassell are the ones that did it.
He died on December 1st, 1875. He was 18 years old.
The posse in the second death.
Public outrage followed quickly. The next evening, Constable James K.P. Stewart assembled a posse to arrest the Brassell brothers. Among them was Russell's older brother, John Allison. They found Joe at his steel house.
Man, do you aim to scare a feller to death?
Teek arrived moments later. As officers attempted to arrest him, a struggle ensued.
Oh, Lordy. My leg is broken. I'm shot.
John Allison died later that night. Two brothers now dead, hours apart.
Trial, betrayal, and condemnation.
Joe and Teek Brassell were arrested and jailed.
We didn't do it. We swear we didn't do it.
Public anger was so intense that officials feared mob violence, and the brothers were transferred to Nashville for protection. Dobson Johnson later confessed his role in the crime while testifying in an unrelated case. In exchange for turning state's evidence, he was granted immunity. He named Jim Brassell as the architect of the plan and Dol Bates as the fourth participant. Bates was arrested and jailed. When the trials finally occurred in June 1877, witnesses testified to gunfire, dying declarations, and the events of the night. The jury returned a verdict of guilty. The sentence, death by hanging.
Waiting to die.
Appeals followed. Escape attempts failed. Ministers visited daily. In February 1878, the Tennessee Supreme Court upheld the convictions. The execution date was set for March 27, 1878.
The crowd gathers.
As the date approached, Cookeville filled with people. Estimates ranged from 8,000 to 20,000 spectators. Newspapers from across the country sent reporters. In a hollow just outside town, 1/2 mile southwest of Cookeville on land known as Billy Goat Hill, a gallows was erected. 2 trapdoors, 2 ropes.
The day of the hanging.
Wednesday morning, March 27, 1878, dawned clear and cold. 11 a.m., Joe and Teek Brassell were led from their cell. Outside, a wagon waited. Inside it were 2 coffins. The brothers climbed in and sat down on their own caskets. The brothers were followed directly behind the wagon by their sister Amanda and another Brassell brother. As many as 200 armed guards formed a human barrier as the procession moved through town. Behind them followed reporters, officials, ministers, and thousands of spectators. At the gallows, the crowd fell quiet. Ministers offered prayers. Warnings were spoken about whiskey, about bad company, about the slow road from small sins to violent ends. Joe addressed the crowd. He confessed his
Ladies and
guilt.
gentlemen, give me your attention
He
a
warned
moment.
young men to stay away from liquor.
I stand here today for murder. What brought me here was whiskey and chasing money and running with reckless boys. Boys, leave whiskey alone.
Teek spoke next. He did not confess. He declared himself innocent.
This is a solemn hour. It is told that I must die. I am ready and waiting, prepared, and willing to die. I hope to meet you all in heaven.
To the end, he maintained that he was dying for a crime committed by others.
To all in hearing, I got this to say. I am an innocent man. I gotta die for what somebody else done. You understand me now? You got the truth.
Let me know when the time is out and when you go to cut the rope. We want to be sure it breaks our necks.
You have only 5 minutes.
Farewell, Mr. Bohannon.
Goodbye, Joe.
Lord, have mercy on those who swore my life away. Lord Jesus, be with me.
The nooses were placed.
Lord, have mercy
the
on my
white
soul.
caps pulled down. At
I am ready to
precisely
die.
1:30 in the afternoon, the sheriff gave the signal.
Look out, boys!
The trapdoors fell. Within minutes, both men were dead. Doctors pronounced Joe dead at 6 minutes, Teek at 11. The crowd watched in silence. Then slowly they turned and left.
Allison family after the gallows.
When the bodies of Joe and Teek Brassell were cut down and carried away, the crowd dispersed and Cookeville slowly returned to its routines. But for the Allison family, there was no return to normal. Russell Allison was buried only days after he died. His life ended before he reached his 19th birthday. His older brother, John Allison, was buried beside him, killed not in his home, but while trying to bring his brother's killers to justice. The double loss shattered the family. Angeline Allison Isbell remained in the home along the Nashville Road, the same house where gunfire had torn through the night. She lived with the memory of hearing Russ stagger toward her bed, bleeding, frightened, and fully aware he was dying. The legal process had delivered justice in the eyes of the law, but it did not restore what was taken. William Jefferson Isbell, the man believed to be the intended target of the robbery, continued his life under the weight of that knowledge. Had he been home that night, the violence might have taken a different shape or claimed different lives. The Allison murders remained a defining event for the family. They were remembered not as participants in violence, but as its victims.
Dol Bates, flight, capture and escape.
William Bell, a.k.a. Dol Bates, though present at the Allison home the night Russell Allison was shot, he escaped immediate punishment. After Dobson Johnson turned state's evidence, Bates was arrested and taken to the Nashville jail. Unlike the Brassel brothers, Bates repeatedly attempted escape. He fled while on bail, stole a mule, and traveled through Kentucky as far north as Indiana before returning to Tennessee. He was later captured in Cannon County dirty, disheveled.
Just let me go, Sheriff. Take the money.
Bates attempted to bribe Sheriff Doss and made several efforts to escape custody.
Take the money.
Loosening restraints and even walking away while handcuffed to a deputy marshal in 1878. Each time he was recaptured. Newspapers criticized the handling of his custody, and one officer was indicted for corruptly and voluntarily allowing the escape. In the end, Bates did not face the gallows. However, he was finally convicted and served 10 years in prison. Unlike Joe and Teek Brassel, he lived, his story marked not by execution, but by evasion and by the uneven reach of justice in 19th century Tennessee.
Dobson Johnson in the shadow of immunity.
Dobson Johnson never stood trial for the Allison murders. He was present at the crime. He heard the gunfire. He fled with the others. But by turning state's evidence, Johnson secured his freedom. His testimony became central to the prosecution's case against the Brassel brothers. In exchange, he walked away unpunished.
Joe and Teek Brassel went in the house. Me and Dol waited on the porch.
This arrangement troubled many in Putnam County. Johnson was no innocent bystander. He had a long reputation for theft, violence, and criminal association. Yet he lived freely, while 2 others were hanged.
The finale.
The story did not end with the gallows. Rumors spread almost immediately that George Teek Brassel had survived the hanging, and revived by family members and spirited away into the mountains. Though no credible evidence ever confirmed it, the rumor endured. In Putnam County, memory often mattered as much as fact. The hanging of the Brassel brothers became legend. The Allison murders became cautionary. And the names Allison, Brassel, Bates, Johnson were woven permanently into the history of this place. Because for one violent chain of nights in 1875 and one cold afternoon in 1878, Putnam County stood at the crossroads of frontier justice and modern law and was forever changed.
Come, my friends and near relations, come and listen to my song. I will sing about the Brassels, about the men who were home on the 29th of Some said Joe was you.